Oh, hi. Sorry, I was just watching the conference on my exciting piece of modern technology that I keep in my pocket, which kind of brings us to the topic of what we're going to be talking to you about today, which is the idea of thriving in the digital society that now lives in our pocket. I'm Steph, I'm from the University of York, and I'm joined with me for this talk with a couple of colleagues. I've got Siobhan, I've got Susan, and I've got a magic little robot there that actually won't be contributing all that much to us. Yeah, we're from the University of York, apart from Susan, who used to be at the University of York, but has since run off to Scotland for some reason. Anyway, let's hand over to Susan, who's actually going to lead us off on this journey through digital technology.
Thanks, Steph. So what we're going to talk about today, really to think about how research libraries can support with the development of citizens' digital skills, is the work that we've undertaken to develop a couple of massive open online courses, or MOOCs, as they're referred to, one on digital citizenship and one on digital well-being. But let's just provide you with a little bit of context to why we were doing this. So back at the University of York, way back in 2014, a university strategy was launched to grow our distance and online provision. It took a couple of years before FutureLearn entered in 2016, and there was a call out to develop 4 pilot MOOCs. And the aims that the university had for the development of these MOOCs was to, improve the university's reputation for innovation in teaching, to share the strengths of our taught programs at the University of York, to disseminate our research outputs, and to develop partnerships with other institutions and commercial partners. So when this came out, we thought, well, this seems quite interesting. Maybe we could look to develop a proposal, put something forward. But our motivations were aligned, but slightly different to those overarching university aims. So we really saw this as an opportunity to move from the sphere of skills teaching, which we've done a lot of in terms of digital skills, to engage on a topic of social interest and really consider the impact of digital technologies on society. So we wanted to use this opportunity to build partnerships with our research colleagues to do research-led teaching. We wanted to disseminate those research outputs, and we wanted to engage beyond our University of York community to have a global audience and really start that conversation of digital technologies and society. And we wanted to develop our participants' digital skills as well as part of this. So we developed a proposal back in 2016 for our first MOOC, which was on digital citizenship. So I'm just going to hand over to Steph now to talk you through what that looked like.
Absolutely. So we created a MOOC called Becoming a Digital Citizen, an introduction to the digital society. And this MOOC, the structure of it is outlined on this slide here. We ran it in January 2017, so ages ago now, and it was structured over 3 weeks, quite a lot of activities and steps and words to get through, but we got a lot of takers for it. It was very exciting. I mean, I was very skeptical when we first got involved with this whole idea. I thought, MOOCs, that sounds like something from about 10 years ago, but universities were really jumping onto this. Here's the structure of those 3 weeks. We started off in a very kind of library-focused week about digital access and the kind of digital divide and all those things that excite librarians. But then as we got stuck in, we started to think a little bit more broadly about the topic, introducing ideas about identity and ethics and really getting a little bit more playful with the idea of being a digital citizen. And partly that was something that was all down to the fact that we started engaging other people outside of the library. So we started talking to academics, we started talking to other professional staff around the university, getting their input, getting their opinions. So a lot of videos and a lot of essays throughout the MOOC from these different participants. That allowed us to be much more creative, like I say, explore much more exciting ideas perhaps than we'd initially thought about. And really started to see that real value in doing a MOOC beyond just maybe cribbing some bits for our own resources later on down the line. So it was great for us, but it was also pretty great for the people who took part, from what I can tell. Like I say, we had a surprising number of people engage with it initially, so much so that we decided to run it again a few months later, where the participation was about half what it was originally, but that's kind of understandable. And it was still thousands. It was still more than we could have ever reached just within the university. You can see here a kind of breakdown of the people who were taking part. So a pretty even split in terms of gender and age. Unsurprisingly, in terms of location, the UK was the big hitter, but also a pretty good spread around the world. In fact, I've got a map here that shows that kind of spread. A surprisingly large clump of people just over here in South America. I don't know what was going on there, but nonetheless, we were gathering a lot of interest from a lot of people across the world, which is great because that's the whole thing about digital society, isn't it? It's a society without borders. And the comments were really exciting too, particularly the bit here about how the digital community provided by the MOOC was really valuable. So that, for a course about digital citizenship, is especially exciting. Anyway, we were very smug about this and very happy with what we'd done. I suppose we could just rest on our laurels, can't we, Siobhan?
Oh, no. You see, we had to opt for the difficult second album. The difference this time being that I joined the band. I joined the University of York before we made Digital Wellbeing, the next MOOC we decided to embark on, which allowed us to kind of start going in some other directions. So some of our aims then could be focusing more on those well-being areas, some of the identity stuff that we picked up from the first one. Start to thinking about what happens when people engage with online activities, what happens to personal personality and self when you engage online, and sort of enabling safe and responsible collaboration. So people like that community, how can we get them to reflect on online communities themselves? So this was approved and we started making it. Once again, we opted for a 3-week course that worked pretty well. Again, lots of words, lots of videos, discussions. And it was pretty popular. We've run it 5 times so far. Lots of people have engaged with it. Lots of people have commented on it. As I'll touch on it again in a moment, something did get a little bit in the way of digital wellbeing and what that might mean to us. But it was very successful. And if we have a little look at the sort of structure we had this time, it's pretty similar. We started off looking at some of those well-being ideas and really focusing on what well-being might mean. Moved on in week 2 to look at sort of identity and other people online, and then try to end it on a positive note, looking in terms of sort of cultural change and how we can improve our own well-being and others. So again, we engaged some people. You see here, we've got some new faces arriving. Particularly notably, we managed to get some people from departments we've not spoken to before, engaged more in areas around well-being and also digital interventions to well-being. So we managed to sort of bring in new academic collaborators as well. And then a pandemic hit. And we were already scheduled to do a new update for digital wellbeing for May 2020 and run it again. And suddenly we found ourselves in the position of knowing we had to do quite a bit of a rewrite. We had to acknowledge that being, well digitally was no longer the same. People were living so much of their lives online. So we adapted the MOOC. We added in content about that. We talked about working and living online. We looked more at the big data and ethics that underpin us working online. And it gave us a kind of whole new direction to go in. And people learned stuff from it. This is just from the post-survey results that come from the course. We can see that 93% of people said they learned new knowledge or skills. 74% of people had applied that knowledge, and 71% were then sharing that knowledge. So people are actually, sending out our knowledge too. We're giving out those digital skills. But that's not everything. We'd like to keep going further. So I'm going to hand back to Susan.
Okay, thanks, Siobhan. What I'm going to do then, just to wrap up in the final closing parts, is just to think a bit and reflect on this thriving in the digital society and how we can create open educational resources and engage in outreach and public engagement to really build digital capability in society. So we haven't just done the MOOCs, we have done a number of other outreach activities at the University of York, and I hope to take that to the University of Aberdeen as well. So we've created open educational resources, and the content of the MOOC has been really excellent in terms of having that to be able to repurpose it for the skills guides at the University of York, so people can engage with it in a different platform and in a new way. We've embarked on public lectures and open lectures as part of the University of York series for this, and we've even developed a Centre for Lifelong Learning course on the topic. It's yet to run because of that tricky pandemic we've all been dealing with. We've also worked with the Festival of Ideas to do highlight talks in terms of how digital technologies have impacted society and engaged with people in that way. We really feel that research libraries have a strong point and a strong voice within this opening up education. We're used to the open research agenda, and we do back the open education agenda, and it's proved by the university visions we've got across the University of York and the University of Aberdeen, and the amount of people who've signed the Civic University Agreement. I think there's 40 universities across the UK who've signed that. So we do want to be dedicated to this opening up access and building digital capability across our citizens. So we're not going to just end there. We have got some future plans. We want to sort of redevelop the digital citizenship MOOC. Lots of work to do, lots of change in that since we first ran it in 2017. We need to review the digital wellbeing MOOC again as we see changes in opening up society. I obviously want to build collaborations across Aberdeen and York, because I still want to continue working with my wonderful colleagues, Steph and Siobhan at the York University. I want to identify other opportunities for new partnerships. So if you're watching this and you're interested, do get in touch. We'd love to work with you and hear your ideas, because we just like sharing our learning and our knowledge on this topic of how digital technologies have impacted society, because we just want people to get their free digital skills. So thank you for listening to us, and hopefully we'll see you soon.